Alright, time to finish up the model. I'm going to mirror this over as an instance. The forearm looks like it needs one more division, so I'm going to select faces and do quick slice so that it only goes through try and really emphasize this bone. Actually, I'm going to leave them there first until I see if I need those polys back. Alright, so now I'm ready to start on the head. Got image plane all set up. Just kind of start roughing it out. Now, I said before the reason why it's good to start with the divisions here on these in these places is a head has planes to it. There's the front plane and there's the side plane, and you want them to be defined. By keeping this edge here, it'll help you really make that clear as you go. So the first thing I like to do is kind of focus on the face. Alt W takes you full screen. F for front, Z for focus. I'm going to Control X into expert mode. So every time you make a cut, it's good to make sure that it's doing as much as possible. And to make this work a little better, I need to hide those faces I'm not using. There we go. Actually, I should probably hide every... There we go. So I just keep grabbing the edge, the two front edges, making sure that everything lines up. So you can see right now, actually this X-ray version will get in the way. So what I like to do is go into the Materials tab and take one, label it clear and take the opacity all the way down to 0. And that way you get a nice clear view of what you're doing. So the plane of Funge's head follows, you can see the line of where it goes here on the side, and on the front it follows this line here. So I'm going to be following that line with the cuts that I make. And I just right-clicked on X. And I didn't draw my planes perfectly, so they're not going to line up perfectly. But always remember, if you're going to add a vertex, make sure it's all lined up in all the viewports before you move on, because one of the worst things you can do is to make, and my front view is more defined than the side view, so that's the one I'm going to be going on for the most part. You don't want to have things that you'll forget about that haven't been defined yet. So make sure you always hit everything before moving on. Right click, connect. Now this will help me define where the nose lies. Connect. Now remember, we've got a budget of $500. So I don't want to be getting too many polys just yet. If you ever do need to see it a little bit better, you can just do that. Connect. And there's a very distinguished cheek line, so I want to make sure that I have enough polys for that early. going to go ahead and cut. So you can kind of see it starting to form the extreme cheekbone. Now, one thing I like to do on noses is make sure that there is this plane coming from, and it's right here. Make sure there's this plane coming from the side out, and the reason why is your real nose is planar in nature, the way it works. And every once in a while, it's good to kind of take a look at your 3D fasted version, make sure it's kind of looking how you want. I want a really narrow nose, so I'm going to pull these guys in. It's kind of pinched in its construction, so I want it to come back out. So that gives me this real nice, pointy, I want to emphasize it some more, bring those guys in. And then as you see lines that aren't really flowing in the direction that you're that you're wanting your flow to go ahead and remove them, because there's no sense in leaving them up to confuse you when they're not adding to the overall look. And that definitely comes out. But make sure I'm getting a little bit too detailed too fast, so I'm going to try and simplify it a little bit. I want to make sure that I get the general shape before I go about worrying too much about line flow, too much about anything else. It needs to all be about the actual look right now. Again, I'm getting a little bit too dense, too quick, so I'm kind of trying to back off a little bit. And now I'm just trying to define this edge. So while I'm working on the face, I don't let myself get too attached to the mesh flow of the side. I really want to make sure that the face is working first. It's definitely the most important part look-wise. So rather than getting too caught up in the mesh flow, I'm really right now I want to be all about making sure the face is working right. Alright, let's see where I'm at. 857 polys. We've got... Oh! That's actually counting the whole body. I was getting kind of upset. Okay, 125 faces. So about halfway there. Still have the ears and got to round out the back of the head. So before I get too committed to what details I want to add, let me go ahead and start rounding out the head a little bit so I know how many polys I have left to work with. That's actually a little bit too many. Spread that around a little bit. And this jaw is a little bit far back, so I'm going to go ahead and extend the ear. Hinge from edge. Bring it out. And these are some long ears. And for now, I'm going to leave them fairly low. Alright, so I'm at 145, gives me an almost 300 poly full head, and I have to remember that 40 polys for movable eyes, and probably going to have an inside of a mouth. So that's probably, I'd say, looking at maybe 80 polys for that. So I'm getting kind of close in how much I've got for the face. I haven't optimized yet, but I know that I want to put more detail than is in this face right now. And this does not look like just this many edges. It's going to be enough for smooth. So I'm going to add one more to that. This should allow me to get pretty good looking results as far as a round head is concerned. Yeah, that's much better. $160, so I'm kind of at my sort of limit if I want to have movable eyes. So what I need to do now is figure out what's doing what and if it's doing it well, so I can potentially take some stuff out. I probably don't get to use this as much as I liked it. Or this, for that matter. One thing I definitely do need, especially if I want the eyes to close, is another division. Connect. For blinking, it's if I want it in, it's gotta have connection right there, and I do. anytime you can get rid of a poly to make things into quads or to make things read better, do it. It's, if I had every single one of these things connected, how much harder is it to work with that thing now? You've got so many more edges to work with. Now to make the mouth open up. Oop. Chamfer just a little bit. That is your mouth opening. Target weld to here. Now, normally 2 edges that close together would not fly, but when the mouth opens, you really need that edge for when it stretches out. You really, really have to have it. It's very, very important. Now, he's got relatively thin lips, so I don't really need a too much. But I'm going to put that there anyway. Nope, I don't have the polys for that. I'm going to go ahead and remove the material on this so I can get a UVW remove. Materials. Takes me back to the regular. I want to kind of look at it. See how it's reading. Alright, here's a couple of things I noticed. The edge, the plane of the face is way too sharp. So one of the things that I can do to round it up Just always be on the lookout for areas where it would break unevenly, looks a little bit too sharp. Unhide all. Alright, looking pretty good. Let's check the poly count. 183, might be a bit high. Alright, gonna make the inside of the mouth. There we go. Gonna hide unselected so I can concentrate on this one. Bring it out once, bring it out twice, and collapse it. Move it back into the center. So that's the inside of my mouth. And then for the eyes, I'm going to extrude it. Extrude backwards. And then collapse. And what this will do is this edge comes up for the blink, this edge comes down for the blink, and when the eye's sitting there, this little party hat thing will catch so you won't be able to see through the face. 200, so I've still got my 40 for the eyes. Let me go ahead and create the eyes. Geosphere. And sometimes after you put it in, you're going to have to adjust your eye ring. So see now how the party hat catches the area that the eye wouldn't block. An added benefit is you can catch an edge. Alright. Now I gotta lower this thing. Convert it to an editable poly. Delete. Target weld. Rid of these. So there's my eye. And actually, I think I've done this every time I've made an eye. What I pretty much just did yeah, I thought so. Yeah, it's just half. And this can be rotated. Now let's check our poly count. 216. We might want to that's not good. Select all of these, weld, and then turn it down until the mouth opens back up. Unhide all. Now you can start to see the flaws in the head shape. Definitely want to soften up this line. kind of take a look at him from a pulled back view. See how everything's working. We are at 1904 polys, which is good because there's still a couple of things on his body that need to be done. He needs kind of like a loincloth thing, and right, and we said earlier that the butt was just not quite round enough. And right now his jaw isn't very square, which isn't good. I want him to have a pretty good jaw. But in the end, it's just a whole bunch of little, you know, look at something and adjust, look at something and adjust. Let's go ahead and try our silhouette trick. Throw it on both of them. Alright, so now we just got the well, I think his hands are pretty cool. I think they're just reading too big. Not necessarily too long. I want to scale them a little bit this way. But I think they could benefit from a push modifier. With a negative value. Yeah, there we go. Collapse all. So now this one's no longer a mirror. Alright, that was just F4 to turn on wireframe on and off. P for perspective view. Yeah, much better. Much better. I want to give a little bit of a bend to his arms so they are not so totally rigid. I'm going to use a little bit of soft select. And he looks pretty ready. I like his profile from pretty much all angles. Although his ears might be a little narrow. Control X, expert mode. Yeah, it's reading pretty good. 1912 polys, fine for the limit. There we go.